Hi, this is Miss Tabitha. I'm going to upload 4 videos today so that you can study for your vocab test this next class. The videos will be broken up into 4 different parts: hardware components, Microsoft Office terms, browser terms, and keyboard shortcuts, so that you can watch whichever video you need the most help with studying for. Most of these terms you should already know and use regularly. Also note that I'm going to be going pretty quick so that if the videos can stay very short, but if at any time you need to pause the video to take notes or go back and re-watch something, you can do that. This video in particular will focus on the hardware components. This is the screen. You need to know that the screen is a hardware as opposed to software. Hardware is any component that you can physically touch, and software are the programs and apps that the computer runs. The best way that you can think about this or to figure it out is if you can touch something, even if you would have to take your computer apart to touch it, it is hardware. Anything else more or less is software. It is also an output device. Remember that output devices take information from inside the computer and put it out into the real world. An input device, on the other hand, takes information from the real world and puts it into the computer. You've got to think about what the computer is doing. And finally, the function of the screen is to show the user what is going on with the software components. The keyboard is hardware and is an input device. The function is actually for 2 different things. First of all, of course, is typing, and the second is actually to navigate the software with. The touchpad is a piece of hardware. It is an input device, and its function is to control the cursor. Please note that I did not call that a mouse, because the mouse is an external hardware component. The little arrow that moves on your screen is called a cursor. The left and right mouse buttons are also hardware and used for input. The left mouse button is used for selecting and opening, and the right mouse button is used to get more information, whether that mean help menus, options, settings, or other things. The volume buttons are hardware and input devices because you are telling the computer what to do. They control an output device, which are the speakers. Their function is to control the volume of sound being output by the computer speakers. The power button is an input device because you are telling the computer to either turn on or off, or sometimes even to go to sleep. It is actually a piece of hardware. The webcam is a hardware and an input device because it is used to capture images and video from the real world and put those images or videos onto the computer. The headphone jack is a hardware component even though it's inside the computer, and it is used to plug the headphones into. The microphone jack is similarly a hardware component and used to plug the microphone into if the computer does not have an internal mic. The USB port is a piece of hardware and is used to plug in peripheral devices into. A peripheral device is any external device such as a webcam, iPod, printer, and many other devices. Just heads up, that might be a great bonus question. The VGA is a piece of hardware that is used to plug in the VGA cable. Note that a VGA cable is only used to transport visual media. For example, if you have a laptop, you might plug in a VGA cable to get an additional monitor or to put something up on a projector. It is not used to transport audio. So you can't get sound. If you plug in this cable, you can't magically get sound on the monitor or whatever it is that you're getting. These cables are slowly being replaced with HDMI cables, which actually do transport both visual media and audio. Again, HDMI cable, if you get more information about what that is, might be a great bonus question. Finally, the Ethernet port is used as a wired connection to the internet. In order for any device to have internet, even if your device is wireless, now this is not talking about cell phones, this is just wireless devices, your home or something has to be plugged into an Ethernet port. Sometimes your computer is plugged in directly into the wall with an Ethernet cord or cable, but most oftentimes if you have a wireless home, your wireless router is plugged directly into the wall with this cable. So that kind of gives you a wrap-up of the hardware portion of these videos. If you missed anything, feel free to replay the video and pause and rewatch it as needed. If you feel comfortable with these components and vocab terms, feel free to move on to the next video to learn about the Windows terms.